Alrighty, so hello everyone. It's really nice to have you here today and for you to be participating in our first live session of the Changemaker 2026. We're very excited to see a lot of Changemakers here with us, not only the teacher, but also some students. And as our first guest, we're going to have UpSculpt, and Bree is going to be the speaker for today. Just for you to know a little bit more about UpSculpt, this is a US-based non-profit organization empowering action against the crisis of ocean plastic pollution through art, science, and educational workshops. This session will include a virtual presentation, and it will be demonstrated by Bree. And by the end of the session, we will have a Q&A and also an open discussion where you guys are going to be a little bit more comfortable to say your ideas, your questions, and interact with Bree a little bit more. We'll be focusing on SDG number 6, which is clean water and sanitations, which is one of our main targets for our projects today as part of, and this year, as part of the Changemaker 2026. So without further ado, I will pass now the floor to Bree. Thank you so much for having us and for being present today. And the floor is yours, Bree. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It is a wonderful, wonderful pleasure to be here virtually with you all. I am streaming live from New York, and as was mentioned, we are a New York-based nonprofit, but UpSculpt, we teach not only virtually, but in person all over the US and all over the world. So I'm going to dive into a virtual presentation that has some slides, 2 short videos, and some wonderful, wonderful art that I am going to share with you all. I'm going to dive into the background of our nonprofit organization and really how we take art created with 100% marine plastic debris and how we use that art to start a conversation. And these conversations create change. They create environmental change. They create action in the classroom. And they also inspire others, like hopefully we will be doing today, to create their own art projects. So I'm going to start sharing my screen and dive right into the presentation. I am super excited to share not only these images and videos with you all, but after we get done, I am very, very excited to open up into a Q&A session. So that's really what's special about these sessions is the conversation that we will be able to have after you guys patiently watch this presentation. So as you watch what you see, just keep in mind, just start to maybe write down some questions, some new ideas for what maybe you've already collected on your shorelines, on your rivers. If you guys have already started to work on creative projects at home, I would love to hear about it and talk with you about it and maybe spark some new ideas and how you guys can focus on one of your targets as part of SDG 6, which is organizing a cleanup, a project, and engaging your community. I am so excited to hear about the ideas you all have. So this is a short video. I'm not going to start it yet. In this video, you will meet the founder of UpSculpt. Her name is Cindy Pease-Rowe. She is an artist that lives and works on Long Island. So that's about 100-mile wide or 100-mile long island, right east of New York City. So we actually witness a ton of marine debris, not only from the Atlantic Ocean, but we witness a lot of debris that is washing down from the busy city streets, from the northeastern watershed, which is a bunch of highly populated states up and down the northeast of the US. Here on Long Island, we witness a huge part of the problem of plastic pollution. So you're going to see a little bit more about what we do in this video, and then I will dive into some more good info. So please let me know if you guys have any.
It's hard, you know, when you do something like this, there's an artistic quality, but the story is going to be when they see what it's made out of.
Hi, I'm Cindy Pease-Rowe. I'm the founder of UpSculpt. UpSculpt is the combination of upcycling and sculpture. Upcycling means to create something of value that has no value. In our case, we use marine debris that we pick up off of the beach.
It's been really a focus on using the ocean plastics in my artwork to tell a difficult story about what's going on in the ocean today. It's really important, again, as an individual, that you understand that if you drop something when you open up your car door and it flies out, plastic travels hundreds of miles over the land. So it ends up going and flying into these rivers and ending up in the ocean. It's a tremendous amount.
There's things you are not going to expect too that you kind of, wow, I can't believe that that's washing up. Pens, markers, there's cutlery, there's bottles, there's lighters, there's straws, all kinds of things. You know, bullet casings, hair brushes, ropes.
Plastic doesn't go away. It degrades into smaller and smaller pieces called microplastics. The animals actually eat the plastics as opposed to their own natural food, and it's filling them up. So they don't understand that they're actually not getting any nutrition. So a lot of them starve to death. When I see the damages that are being done to the world, it just hurts. I think so many people think that this issue is out of their reach. It's a really big issue and it's overwhelming for a lot of people. But really, I'm literally just an artist who was walking on the beach who saw this plastic and went home and made a wreath out of it. And from there, it just snowballed and went on and on. This shark is Sugar, also known as Mama Shug. She is a 14-foot great white shark that is in front of the Herring Cove Beach House at the Cape Cod National Seashore. And everything that she's made out, 100% was picked up off of the beach, came in from the oceans.
Here we have marine upholstery. Marine upholstery is another big thing I find all the time on the beach. And these will also be really good for the sculpture because they are designed to be outside on a boat for many, many years and not degrade. So I will be able to use this with the sculpture. We find a lot of this. So here's the bait bags, and but you won't even know it. The underside of the boat cushion, this is insulation here. This is siding, you know, the plastic siding on houses right here. Of course, this is what we share. Right, that's exactly right, a chair. Yep. Here's another little straw story down here.
This panel.
I like it too. It's so pretty.
So cool with
right?
all those. Look
all of
you
that. This is
signed it.
piping.
Awesome.
Oh yeah.
We can all look for ways that we can individually help. It takes a village. I had people helping me all along the way, people who volunteer in the studio, they do beach cleanups, they bring me things. In working with ocean plastics, I realized that I wanted to get children involved so that they understood what was going on.
I'm hoping that while I speak to all of these kids here in China, that some of them will come up with some really great ideas and we'll get out there and get some of that plastic off the beach and start making some really wonderful stuff out of it.
It really all stems from an extraordinary love of the natural world. And we as artists have to all individually do what makes sense for us to do. It's a natural, organic thing. My artwork comes from my heart, and I do it to address this issue the only way I know how. It's okay to pick up after other people, folks.
Thank you, everybody, for watching that video. I am really, really happy to be able to share with you that intro video, and for some reason I'm not able to skip past it, which is not normal. So I'm going to stop sharing really quick so I can get on to the next slide. And we're back in action. So now you've met the very small team at UpSculpt, which basically is Cindy Pease-Rowe, our founding artist, and me. My name, again, is Bree, and I'm the Director of Education and Outreach for UpSculpt. And as a local artist working in New York, I have a background in microplastic pollution research. So before becoming a full-time artist, I really, really, really loved working in the field of plastic pollution. I loved using my voice to make a difference. And I feel very, very lucky that I can do the same with my job, not only creating artwork, but speaking with you all and teaching, discovering some new ideas and how we can all make a change together. So I always like to start the conversation just with a quick reminder that most of our Earth's surface is covered in water. Almost, all of the world's countries make up less than 1/3 of our planet's surface. So if you can think, wherever we go, we find water. And unfortunately, wherever we find water, we find plastics. So these plastics, they create a big problem, not only in our oceans, but in our water ecosystems, in our rivers, in our streams, and they pollute our environment. We see plastics everywhere we go. And as we look closer and closer and on a smaller and smaller scale, we're discovering there are more issues as plastics continue to degrade. So the topic of microplastics is a really, really hot button term right now in the world of plastic pollution research and science. And we are only starting to discover, when I was a little kid, I was taught that plastics would eventually degrade and disappear. But now more and more research starts to show that, unfortunately, these plastics stay in our environment forever. They cycle in our environment and they create new issues. But besides the sort of depressing topic surrounding plastic pollution and ocean pollution, we like to sort of stay positive at UpSculpt. It helps us deal with these tough issues with a smile on our face. We don't always need to be super ultra bright and positive when we tackle tough issues. But here at UpSculpt, as a nonprofit, we love using art and making things that put a smile on our face to start that tough conversation. So before we can even create any of the artwork, we have to start at the beach. Here you'll see me working with a group of over 40 students, cleaning up a shoreline. We work for generally an hour at a time outside, cleaning up what we can, and then we bring plastics back to the studio. So back in the studio, we will sort these plastics. We get rid of anything that is dangerous or dirty or unsafe to work with. It's just not worth it for our health. And a really important part of this process of cleaning up the waterways and creating art is responsibly disposing of the plastics that you won't be able to work with. So here you can see all of these beautiful plastics spread out on the table and some of our artist hands starting to work with the materials. We think it is a really, really important part of what we do is the education aspect. So working with students, being hands-on in the classroom is pretty much the main pillar of what we like to present to the public. The art is really fun, and as artists, we have a blast with the creativity, but the core of our mission is really, as I said, to start this conversation. And through the process of creating beautiful artwork like this 4-foot-long fish we created with an elementary school class, we can create some beautiful artwork that not only makes a difference, but this fish swam its way from an elementary school to Long Island to a bunch of fancy art galleries in New York City. So actually the kids that we worked with were able to join their first fancy art exhibition in the city at the young age of 3rd grade. And to this day, we still have some of those students reaching out to us saying how they have brought up our UpSculpt project in their college essays. They've started to teach their own upcycling workshops. We are just so proud to hear how the story of UpSculpt carries on. So here in the studio, we make large scale sculptures. So here is a 7-foot long and 7-foot tall whale tail. We like to call the wishing whale tail. And with our community members, you'll see you can walk right underneath the tail, and written on the marine plastics, we had the community members write an intention that they had for our ocean or for our environment or maybe for themselves. And they could visit the sculpture and read their intentions as they walked underneath the tail and investigated all the marine plastics that were woven in the beautiful armature. So I briefly mentioned in the video how we have traveled far and wide with UpSculpt, and here you'll see Cindy is teaching a workshop with some students in China. So in 2018, Cindy was invited by the US State Department and the China State Department to do a 4-week-long tour of cities in northern China, where at the culmination of this tour, she worked with a large team of volunteers to build an 18-foot wide and 20-foot tall whale tail diving into Shenzhen Harbor. This is one of the busiest shipping ports in China, and this sculpture really serves as a symbol of how the industry and how environmentalists, scientists, and governments can come together and tackle tough issues. But not all of our projects are not huge and grandiose. We also work on a small scale. So here we have a blue whale that is about 2 feet long, and you can start to see some of the individual plastics that make up some of these smaller sculptures. So I'm going to dive to another small whale, which is our orca, and what makes up this beautiful orca skin is actually leather from fishing gloves. So we use scissors, we use tools to manipulate the plastics and create new ideas and new shapes. And we also use what is called an armature. So we have welders work with us to design large steel skeletons almost, where we can weave and rope and incorporate plastics into much larger and more abstract assemblages. I skipped. So this is a really, really fun recent project that we are very, very proud of, because we worked with the National Park Service and NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, as funding partners to bring Sugar, aka Mama Shug, our 14-foot great white shark, to life. So Sugar was a project that highlighted single-use plastics on our shorelines. And we had a lot of fun telling the story with the different panels that comprised Sugar's large body. So here on the bottom panel, you can see all of the bottles that were picked up off the shoreline. Above all the bottles, that is what's called aquaculture matting, and that is used for shellfish and oyster farming. And unfortunately, throughout the farming process, a lot of plastic gets discarded and shed into our environment. So Sugar, aka Mama Shug, is a recent project we did outside, but on the inside, when we work without the limitations of the harsh sunlight or harsh storms and snow and rain, we can work with really, really, really fun concepts. So this is Medusa, our 26-foot long giant squid. This is living on Long Island at the Cold Spring Harbor Whaling Museum. And Medusa is, once again, 100% marine plastics, and she represents the modern day sea monster. So we were approached by this museum, and they wanted to depict, they have a wonderful, wonderful collection of old representations of what we used to think were floating in our seas. So mermaids and monsters and krakens. But now in the modern age, we have a much better idea of what actually floats around in our ocean. And unfortunately, along with these big, beautiful creatures, there is a lot of plastics. So Medusa represents what we like to call the modern age sea monster, which is simply ocean plastics. And I'm going to show another short video of us working on and sculpting Medusa. And hopefully this is going to start to spark your ideas for how you guys can work with plastics and upcycled materials at home. After this video, I'm going to do a short presentation where I have a few plastics and tools of my own in my studio. I will demonstrate how I work with plastics, and then I cannot wait to open up the conversation and Q&A session. So this video hopefully will play zero. Thank you guys for watching our second video. I really had so much fun during the Medusa project as not only a coordinator of the project, but as a studio assistant. I mean, how lucky am I to be able to create and be hands-on to bring Medusa to life. We have so much fun. And that is a really, really important message that we really want to get across, is as we work and collect and educate and work with our community members, we really have the time of our lives. So you could see us dancing in the studio and just with big smiles on our faces. And, you know, people don't always picture that when you say you work with marine plastic debris. I mean, I can't even describe what joy it brings me. And it also makes me really happy that I can make a difference and hopefully make a change, which I can tell you, you are doing. So we are going to briefly discuss the different types of outreach that I do in the public, in person, before I give you guys a demonstration, and then we can dive into Q&A. So here you see we are teaching an assembly where we have a bunch of sculpture lined up for the students in the middle of our assembly class. So if I am not virtual like I am today, I'm able to bring some of our smaller sculptures and pass them around the classroom so people can feel the different plastics and get hands-on with a few of our tools. And I really love speaking, but what I super love doing is teaching these workshops in person. So here you could see me with a classroom of students after we just finished a wreath making workshop. So we will take a wreath that you can buy at the store. It's just a circle, a wire circle. You can make it at home with upcycled wire. But these wreaths we teach all year round, not only during holiday season, because they represent a symbol of year-round celebration of this beautiful subject of upcycled art and creating that conversation and making something that makes your home a little bit prettier, but also creates a piece of public artwork that can live on. So speaking of creating public artwork that lives on, you know, if you don't have the necessary studio space or workshop space to work on a sculpture, and, you know, our big projects, they take almost sometimes years to complete. So when you're thinking about your own project in the classroom, you know, you really want to be realistic with how much debris, how many people, and how much time you have to complete your projects. So when we work in the classroom, we're not only sculpting, but here we are creating a bottle cap mural. So we've got a plank of wood that is cut down to the perfect size to be on top of our classroom table. And we actually did a semester-long campaign where students across the 5th grade in a school helped collect bottle caps. So there was a problem where the students at this school couldn't access the beach all the time. So we welcome not only bottle caps from the beach, but bottle caps from the home classroom. And we incorporated all of this material into a beautiful, beautiful mural. And this is a recent virtual project that I was very, very happy to show you guys this picture, because this is actually what students at an academy completed after a few virtual education sessions with UpSculpt. So they took some advice, they collected plastics, and they also spoke with us virtually via email and social media to help design their seahorse after we completed our virtual session. And right now, after I stop sharing my screen, I am going to give you a quick demonstration on how we upsculpt our mini whales, which is a really fun workshop we like to do. And not only as I sculpt the mini whales, I am going to show you a few tools that will be very, very important and probably very useful in your own at-home upcycling projects. So thank you all for your patience and for your attention as I presented to you. I cannot wait to dive into conversations. I am going to just stop sharing my screen so we can just see my camera. And I am going to pick up a few of my demonstration items. So this is a completed project. It's actually plankton from SpongeBob. I had a student at a recent workshop upsculpt a plankton and gift it to me. And now I keep him as my little mascot. And you can see what's lying underneath this beautiful assemblage of marine rope is a plastic bottle. And you can see the shape of this bottle after it has been wrapped with rope almost disappears and turns into its own shape. For demonstration purposes, I've already started upsculpting a mini whale out of a mini water bottle. So I've squeezed this water bottle into the shape of the whale that I'm imagining in my head. And I've also started to cut out a fin out of hard plastics. Now, this is a really, really handy tip, is using your Sharpie markers when you work with hard plastics and a very, very strong pair of scissors. So sometimes you will have a thin piece of plastic that is really easy to cut through, but a lot of the times what you're finding is thick or degraded plastic. And we actually buy these from the local hardware store, and they are somewhat dangerous. So we have to keep an eye on when children work with them. We even have to keep an eye on when adults work with these. But basically, if you have a trusty pair of scissors, a really good hot glue gun, and something like sandpaper, we also use tweezers and small sculpting tools that can help get into small areas. But really what you're seeing is a very, very basic set of tools that you can find at home or probably in your art teacher's classroom. So after going through our quick little tool breakdown, I am going to add my pre-prepared fin onto my whale's body. So when we work with hot glue, we don't need to use too much glue. This hot glue can burn right through these thin plastics. So we also want to make sure, I'm right next to a window, that we're in a well-ventilated space. And a lot of the times we have guests that use masks and gloves to help protect our skin and our lungs from microplastics and small cuts and tears. So safety in the studio is very, very important. You see, I've just put a tiny, tiny dot of glue down, and now I'm holding my glue for about 10 to 15 seconds, just so I can create a really nice, strong bond. And what I have done here for an eyeball, sort of hard to see, is I found a black straw, and I simply just cut a small piece of it. And again, I just need the tiniest dot of glue wherever I can imagine the eye to be. And now we have an eye for our whale. And now here's another safety tip. You are going to want to touch your fingers onto this hot glue. It's not safe. So we use our sculpting tools to hold down. And lastly, for our tail, I have found a flip-flop, and I have cut a cute little tail out of my flip-flop. We like to use the mouth part of the bottle as a little surface to glue this tail down. But again, when you're working with materials that you find, you'll have to get creative and come up with your own methods for how to work with materials. Oh, he's upside down. Now he's right side up. So there's just a quick little demonstration to see how fast and how almost easy you can bring a really, really unique, whimsical piece of art to life using something like ocean debris. And without further ado, I would really love to start discussing with you all. I ran a little bit over time on my presentation, so I am happy to spend as long as you guys want with our Q&A session. But thank you all for listening to me, and I am really excited to hear what you all have to say and what you all are thinking.
Bree, thank you so much for this presentation. It was truly enlightening and also really fun.
Thank you.
We received a bunch of comments and a bunch of questions from our students, but guys, if you also have more questions, please keep them coming. For the comments, we received a lot of comments of how much they loved the live session and how inspiring your work is and how important it is for the environment, and especially on these times that we're seeing a lot of things happening to our environment. So we have a comment from one of our schools, which is SESI, and Danny made a comment saying, I just wanted to say that you guys' work is so inspiring. It's such a great project that leave a strong message for the kids to take care of the ocean since such a young age. And they loved the whale and the demonstration of how you're doing as well. For the questions, we have one question from Marcus, and he says, how long does it take for you to make the sculptures, the big ones? So the Medusa and the whale, how long did it take?
Well, first off, thank you so much for those kind comments. And, you know, it inspires us when you guys are inspired. So it always means the world when you all enjoy our presentations and are engaged with our artwork. And these large projects, they take a long time. If you don't count just the time it takes to sculpt in the studio, if you take into account all of the phone calls, all of the writing that we have to do, you know, a lot of our job is not just in the studio. It is working across government organizations with scientist teams. We had to, with the Great White Shark Project, we had to sit on multiple Zoom calls, and the teams of scientists had to stare with such scrutinization to make sure that our great white shark had like all of the perfect proportional dimensions, and it was just this wonderfully detailed process that took 2 years from start to finish. So that was from the time that we started conceptualizing the idea, from the time that you saw the shark being lowered in. That was almost a 2-year-long process. And so Medusa, we had a little bit less rules to follow. We could be a little bit more creative with that. And we had a shorter timeline. We brought Medusa to life in the studio over a period of 2 months, working hands-on. Our welder, on the other hand, took 3 months just to make the steel armature.
Jesus.
So when we work on a large scale, there is so many factors when it comes to timing and how long something will take. And that's really important for you guys to think about at your own projects. Don't be afraid to keep it small but mighty.
And we also had a follow-up question regarding this one, which is, how do you guys choose the next sculpture? And you also mentioned that you usually guys, you get the debris from the ocean, but do you also get from rivers or ponds or any other bodies of water?
Oh, these are two great questions. So how we choose our sculptures is somewhat of a different process for each project. You know, a lot of the times we are commissioned, so that means someone is approaching us to make a specific piece of artwork that either they have in mind, or maybe they don't really know what they want, but they know we can make it happen. So oftentimes, for example, with Sugar, aka Mama Sugar, Great White Shark, the sculpture that was proposed was a life-size North Atlantic right whale. So completely different from the shark. And you can imagine over that 2-year-long conversation how we got from a whale to a great white shark. I mean, it is just this like dynamic process of different ideas floating around. But also we do create projects that are more, you know, personal art projects where Cindy and I do have a very specific creative vision, and we're lucky enough that we do have studio space to be able to, sculpt something that only we can picture. And we actually sell our sculptures as a form of supporting our nonprofit organization. So people buy our works, whether it is a 2-foot long mini whale or a 14-foot great white shark. We just have the time of our lives imagining new creatures, whether or not they're real or they're based on something in real life. And then the second question, remind me one more.
It was, let me just get the question again. Give me one sec. Wait, it was if you also get the debris from other bodies of water, such as rivers.
So specifically at UpSculpt, we focus on solely marine plastics because we find that's how we are better able to focus and drive a clearer message. So we support all types of upcycling and collecting debris from really any source in the environment. But here at the UpSculpt studio, we focus on ocean plastics. One, because if we didn't focus, we wouldn't get anything done. And two, there's really only so much debris that we can store. So by focusing on marine plastics, we have a very clear, creative voice, and we can almost manage the amount of debris that we take in and handle. And again, we live on Long Island. We are surrounded by the ocean. We grew up on the ocean. And we really find it makes a big impact locally that we work with marine plastics. So that might be different for you and where you live. If you live near a river or stream estuary systems, that can make a difference.
And this is a personal question of mine. How do you sell the sculpture? So is it through an auction? Do you post online? How is the process for it?
We work with a few local galleries, and we will bring our sculptures in person, and it is a very standard gallery art sale process. And what's fun about that is we can boast that 100% of these proceeds go straight into UpSculpt. It's a nonprofit, and a lot of our friends, families, and neighbors that might not be able to join a workshop or might not be able to donate, they can purchase a sculpture and have a beautiful, whimsical piece of artwork for their home, and also say that they supported our organization. So we use the internet, we use local galleries, and we also advertise our mission on a large scale to help get the word out. And these large sculpture projects are really another really big part of what keeps the ball rolling and keeps our organization alive. So workshops and creating sculptures is really how UpSculpt stays alive.
That's awesome. We have a question from another school. This one from São Paulo. And they asked, how do you, this one was repeated. How is the relation of to UpSculpt, and how does the projects have helped to decrease pollution or other initiatives regarding SDG number 6?
Yes, and I love it. Bringing up the SDG number 6 is clean water and sanitation, which is, we were so excited to hear of the Changemakers curriculum and how impactful really what you guys are doing in the classroom is. I wish I had such a robust education in my formal years, where I was learning a lot more about these SDGs and how to clean up our waters and what it really means to be a nonprofit that is making an impact. And I like that question, because when you work with such a tough issue like ocean pollution, and when you know that the reality is that this is a very, very, very large issue, and plastics only do continue to enter our environment. Unfortunately, by 2050, there is still projections that our plastic production could almost double, and the amount of plastics that enter our environment could almost double. So it is tough to consider that reality when you're a small nonprofit, making art with these plastics and you are trying to make a difference. And really that is where the education comes into play for us. You know, we can clean up hundreds of pounds of debris off of a few shorelines when we know that that debris will keep on coming. And there's other wonderful organizations in this world that have huge, massive cleanup operations. So at UpSculpt, we like to focus on that education and the power of education and making a difference. So, you know, this clump of wire that I found at my beach, you know, it's only a little bit, but as I'm talking with you and we're looking at it and investigating how beautiful and how fun it might be to sculpt with this, I hope I'm making a change, and we hope at UpSculpt that is the change, like the difference that we're making is you know, sparking new ideas and hopefully continuing the act of upcycling and creating art to make a difference.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Another question. One sec. Which is, so first is a comment that they say that the project is really important for our lives, and the sustainable ideas is so incredible for our world because many people don't think about it. And Isa and Luana from SESI also said that the project is really inspirable and it's really inspiring. And after you finished and exposed the sculpture, what do you guys do with it? So you mentioned that you sell this product, but what if the products don't sell? What do you do?
That's a great question, because there's only so much space to keep a large sculpture. So luckily, a lot of our sculpture gets adopted into a permanent collection. And when it is in a permanent collection, we have to make sure that these plastics don't degrade over time. So luckily, you know, if these sculptures didn't get permanently collected, we would have, you know, we would have to keep buying studio spaces for all of our creatures to live in. So we only keep a few large sculptures at a time. These sculptures we rent out for parties. We keep them in local businesses and storefronts, so they can basically be kept safe and sound until we can find a new home. But when we have a sculpture go to a permanent home, we work with our partners to make sure that if these things are outside or displayed in a window with really bright sun, if plastics degrade over time, we will come back, add more plastics, really just maintain and make sure that there is a clear creative vision and strong educational impact, where the great white shark on Cape Cod National Seashore, which is a few states above New York, we have a bunch of wonderful signage. So that's another thing that happens with these sculptures when they go to live in their permanent homes. There is most often educational signage associated. So it's not just looking at the art, but guests and visitors are reading about the project, and we always are sharing like stats and facts that will grab your eye. And then we point people towards our mission and our websites and our signs. So that's another important part of our public artwork, is our signage and how we communicate our artwork through that.
Awesome. I think we don't have any more questions for now. So I believe we can start to wrap up. But Bree, once more, thank you so much. This live session was really, really enlightening. It was really awesome to have you here and show a little bit of your knowledge and the impact that you do. If we have another question, I'll just interrupt and pop up really fast. But once more, thank you so much for being with us today. For the ones that are watching the live session, guys, don't forget that we're going to have a second live session with UpSculpt, okay? That's going to happen on the 24th at 3 o'clock Brazilian time. And we also have 2 other live sessions coming up. The first one will be next week with Lily, which will talk about SDG number 7, about clean energy. She's from Australia and she's going to bring her insights. And then in April on the 10th, we're going to have Diana, which is a Portuguese now living in Belgium, a citizen with disability, and she's going to talk about SDG number 5, which is gender equality, and she's going to tell about her experience as being a woman with disabilities, in what were the opportunities that she did, and how was her experience throughout her life. For the teachers, we also have the handouts that you guys can also answer about Bree and about the session that we had. We have there some questions. We have some vocabulary that you can take a look on. This is on the Educator Hub. So this is the access for the teachers, and then you can print out and give to your students. So we're really excited to have you here all over the next live session. So next week, and also with the next session with UpSculpt. Bree, we had over 100 people watching us today. So that was really exciting. Thank you so much for all of your cooperation, for all of the questions, and for your engagement throughout. And we hope to see you again in the other ones. Thank you, Bree.
Thank you, everyone. Keep creating, and it's so nice to virtually work with you all.
Us too. It was a pleasure meeting you as well and having you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh, and one last note, if anyone has questions and wants to get in touch with UpSculpt, our website is upsculpt.com, and you could learn more, and we always love to see what you guys create in the future. So don't hesitate to send us pictures and share with us. We love to see how UpSculpt continues through your curriculum. Have a good day, everybody.
You too. We'll absolutely share the projects that they did with the ideas from UpSculpt. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. See you guys. Bye-bye, Bree.